Nobody warned you about this. There is something happening inside your body right now, quietly, invisibly, and it started the moment you stopped moving regularly. Your arteries are stiffening. Your brain is physically shrinking. Your spine is drying out like a cracked riverbed. But here's the part that changes everything. All of it is reversible. Not with medication, not with surgery, with walking. 30 minutes, flat ground, your own 2 feet. We are going to break down exactly 10 things that begin to repair the moment you make walking a daily habit. And some of these will genuinely shock you. Thing number 4, for example, is why eye surgeons now recommend walking to patients who have never had a foot problem in their life. We'll get to that. And if you stay until the very end, we're handing you the D.R.I.V.E protocol, the 5-variable system that tells you exactly how to walk so that every single one of these 10 benefits actually activates. Without it, you could walk for a year and miss most of them entirely. Let's go. Number 10. The silent rewiring. Start here, your brain. Most people think memory loss and mental decline are just aging, inevitable, pre-programmed into your DNA. That's not what the research says. Stanford neuroscientists discovered something that should be front-page news. When a person adopts a regular walking routine, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning, decision-making, and emotional regulation, begins to increase in density. Not metaphorically, physically. You can measure it on a scan. The reason is a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists sometimes call it Miracle-Gro for the brain. Walking is one of the most effective known triggers for its release. It floods the hippocampus, the brain's memory vault, with this growth signal. New neural connections form, old ones strengthen. Here is the haunting flip side. Without regular movement, BDNF production drops. The brain begins to lose volume in those same critical regions. The process is slow. You don't notice it happening, but it compounds year after year until the symptoms are impossible to ignore. Walking doesn't just slow that process. For many people, it begins to reverse it. You're not just going for a walk. You're doing maintenance on your mind. Number, the metabolic awakening. Let's talk about blood sugar, because this is where walking completely defies what most people believe. Everyone assumes that if you want to manage glucose, you need to go hard, HIIT, sprinting, intense cardio. The data tells a different story. A clinical trial run over 6 months and published in the Journal of Applied Physiology compared 2 groups, high-intensity runners and moderate walkers. Both groups exercised for the same total duration. The walkers showed nearly 3 times the improvement in insulin sensitivity. Here's why. When you run at high intensity, your body treats it as an emergency. Stress hormones flood the system. Cortisol rises. The body actually mobilizes stored glucose, sometimes raising blood sugar temporarily, as a survival response. Walking activates a completely different pathway. At a moderate pace, your muscle fibers absorb glucose directly from the bloodstream without requiring insulin to do it. The pancreas gets a break. Over time, the body relearns how to process sugar efficiently, at lower cost, with less hormonal chaos. If you are one of the hundreds of millions of people with prediabetes or metabolic syndrome, this is not a small thing. This is a lifeline disguised as a stroll. Number, the pressure valve. Here is a fact that will sound like it came from a different universe. When you walk consistently, you lower the pressure inside your eyes. This is not a typo. It is not a stretch. The American Academy of Ophthalmology has documented the link between aerobic movement and reduced intraocular pressure, the exact variable that drives glaucoma, the world's leading cause of irreversible blindness. Glaucoma works by building fluid pressure behind the eye until it crushes the optic nerve. Millions of people are losing their sight right now and don't know it yet, because glaucoma has no early pain, no warning symptoms. By the time you feel it, the damage is often permanent. Walking acts as a pressure regulation system. The increased circulation from consistent moderate exercise helps drain excess ocular fluid through the eye's natural drainage channels. Research has shown that people who walk regularly maintain meaningfully lower eye pressure than sedentary individuals, not as a side effect, but as a direct, measurable outcome. You're walking to see better. Let that settle in for a moment. Number 7. The arterial flush. Your cardiovascular system is not static. It is constantly adapting to the demands you place on it. When you sit for most of the day, your arteries respond to the lack of demand by gradually stiffening. The endothelium, the thin cellular lining of your blood vessels, begins to dysfunction. Plaques form more easily. Blood pressure creeps upward. The heart works harder to push blood through increasingly resistant pipes. Now flip it. Every time you walk at a brisk pace, your heart rate rises moderately. Blood moves faster through the vessels. The arterial walls sense the increased flow and respond by releasing nitric oxide, a molecule that causes the vessels to widen and relax. Over time, this repeated signal trains your arteries to stay more flexible, even at rest. A meta-analysis of over 900,000 patients published in the European Heart Journal found that regular walking reduced the risk of cardiovascular events, heart attacks, strokes by up to 35%. Not running, walking. 30 minutes of consistent movement is a pharmaceutical-grade intervention for your heart. No prescription required. Number: the skeletal signal. Bone is not stone. It's living tissue, and it responds to demand. Here's what happens when you stop stressing your skeleton regularly. Osteoclasts, the cells that break down old bone, begin to outpace osteoblasts, the cells that build new bone. The balance tips. Density drops. What doctors call osteoporosis begins not in old age, but decades earlier, silently, in the background of a sedentary lifestyle. Walking reverses that equation through a process called mechanotransduction. Every footfall sends a mild physical stress through your bones. Your skeleton reads that signal as a directive: reinforce. Osteoblast activity increases. Calcium is deposited. Density builds. Importantly, walking achieves this without the fracture risk of high-impact sports. It's enough load to stimulate growth, not enough to cause damage. The National Osteoporosis Foundation considers it one of the most reliable bone-preserving activities available. You are literally paving your own skeleton stronger with every step. Number: the spinal reset. Back pain is one of the most common reasons people stop being active. The cruel irony: for the vast majority of people, inactivity is what caused the problem in the first place. Your spinal discs, the cushions between your vertebrae, have no direct blood supply. They are nourished through a process called imbibition. Compression and decompression squeezes nutrients in and waste products out, like a sponge being repeatedly squeezed in water. When you sit for hours, the discs stay compressed. They stagnate, they thin, they become vulnerable. Walking provides the rhythmic alternating pressure these discs desperately need. Each stride decompresses the spine. Fluid moves, nutrients enter, waste exits beyond the discs. Walking strengthens the deep stabilizing muscles along the spine, the multifidus and erector spinae groups, which are the same muscles that chronic back pain patients typically show as weakened and underactive. As those muscles rebuild, posture improves. Load is distributed more evenly. Pain signals quiet down. For the majority of people with non-specific chronic low back pain, walking is more effective than passive treatments. It doesn't just manage the symptom, it addresses the underlying architecture. Number 4, the gut reset. Your digestive system is muscular, and like any muscle, if it doesn't move, it stops performing. Peristalsis, the rhythmic wave-like contractions that move food through your intestines, is heavily influenced by physical activity. When you are sedentary, transit time slows. Food sits longer, fermentation increases, inflammation builds. The data on this is stark. A large prospective cohort study tracking over 120,000 adults for more than a decade found that the most physically active individuals had significantly lower rates of colon cancer, one of the most common and deadly cancers globally. The least active group carried dramatically elevated risk. Walking stimulates the vagus nerve, the master nerve of the parasympathetic system that governs digestion while also mechanically massaging the abdominal contents through trunk movement. The result is faster, more regular transit, reduced bloating, lower inflammation in the gut lining, and a measurable reduction in cancer risk. Your gut is not a passive tube. It is a dynamic system waiting for a reason to perform at full capacity. Walking gives it that reason. Number: the immune surge. Every time you walk at a moderate pace, your body deploys its cellular defense forces, natural killer cells, the immune system's frontline fighters, against viral infection and cancerous cells, increase in knee circulation during and after aerobic exercise. Macrophages become more active. Inflammatory markers that have been silently elevated for years begin to decline. A landmark study from Appalachian State University tracked 1,000 adults during cold and flu season. Those who walked 5 or more days per week experienced 43% fewer sick days than their sedentary counterparts. When they did get sick, their symptoms were significantly milder and resolved faster. This is not coincidence. Walking elevates your core temperature slightly, similar to a mild fever, which creates an inhospitable environment for pathogens. It flushes the lymphatic system, which has no pump of its own and relies entirely on muscle movement to circulate immune cells through the body. Sitting is immunosuppressive. Walking is a daily vaccine you give yourself for free. Number 2, the hormonal detox. Cortisol is designed to save your life in a crisis. The problem is that modern life has convinced your body it is always in one. Chronically elevated cortisol suppresses the immune system, promotes fat storage around the abdomen, disrupts sleep architecture, degrades memory consolidation, and accelerates cellular aging. It is one of the most damaging compounds your own body can produce, and it is running in the background for millions of people, all day, every day. Walking is one of the most efficient cortisol clearance mechanisms known. The rhythmic, repetitive nature of walking activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch, and counteracts the sympathetic overdrive that cortisol thrives in. At the same time, endorphins and serotonin rise. A study in the Journal of Psychiatry and Neuroscience found that even a single 30-minute walk produced measurable changes in serotonin levels, comparable in some cases to the effect of low-dose antidepressants. Not as a replacement for treatment, as a physiological fact about what the body is capable of doing when it moves. You are not just burning energy when you walk. You are conducting a chemical audit of your own nervous system. Number: the compounding self. Here's the thing nobody talks about when they discuss the health benefits of walking. The most transformative thing that happens when you walk every day has nothing to do with your heart or your bones or your brain. Chemistry, at least not directly. It is what happens to your relationship with yourself. When you commit to walking daily and you actually do it, you begin to accumulate evidence. Small, quiet, undeniable evidence that you are someone who follows through. Who shows up? Who does the thing they said they would do, even when it's cold, even when it's inconvenient, even when nobody is watching? That evidence compounds. It rewrites your self-concept, slowly, then suddenly. Research from the University of New Mexico on behavioral activation and identity found that small, consistent physical commitments change not just behavior, but self-efficacy, a person's belief in their own ability to execute goals. People who build a daily walking habit report measurably higher rates of follow-through on unrelated goals, diet, work, finances, within 90 days. Walking trains your body, but done daily, it trains something more powerful, your word to yourself. That is benefit number 1. Not the most dramatic, the most durable, the D.R.I.V.E. protocol. You made it. Here is the system. Most people walk without structure and wonder why the results never come. The D.R.I.V.E. protocol fixes that. 5 variables. All of them matter. D. Daily anchor. Pick one fixed time. Same time every day. Morning is ideal because it front-loads your discipline before the day makes demands on it. If morning doesn't work, lock in another slot. But lock it in. Irregular walking builds irregular results. R. Rhythm pace. You need to walk with intention, not wander. Target a pace where your breathing becomes noticeable. You can hold a short conversation, but not deliver a speech. This is the zone where cardiovascular and metabolic adaptations begin. Too slow and you're just moving. Too fast, and you trigger cortisol responses that undermine several of the benefits we covered. Impact technique. Posture is not optional. Chin level, shoulders back and down, core lightly braced, arms swinging naturally from the shoulder, not the elbow. This activates more muscle mass, improves caloric expenditure, and protects your joints from the repetitive strain that makes people quit. Volume ladder. Do not start at 10,000 steps if you've been sedentary. Start with 15 minutes. Build by 5 minutes every week. The goal in the first 30 days is to become someone who walks, not someone who walked once and burned out. Sustainable beats heroic every single time. End marker. Finish every walk with 2 minutes at a slower pace, not stopping cold. This allows heart rate to descend gradually, blood pressure to stabilize, and gives your nervous system a clear recovery signal. It's a small habit that meaningfully improves how you feel for the rest of the day. That's the D.R.I.V.E. protocol. Use it. Every benefit we covered today requires one thing: not equipment, not money, not talent. It requires you to decide that you are worth the 30 minutes. Your brain is waiting to grow. Your spine is waiting to decompress. Your immune system is waiting to be activated. Your best version of yourself is not a destination. It is the direction you choose to move in. So move. Start today. Not tomorrow. Not Monday. Today. If you are committing to the D.R.I.V.E. protocol, drop the word DRIVE in the comments. Let's see who is actually ready to change. Like this video if it gave you something real. And subscribe to Human Circuitry TV because we are just getting started on what your body is capable of doing when you give it what it actually needs. Stay in motion.